Right guys, Mark Crossfield here. Today, exciting one in my hands. We've got the King Cobra One Length irons from King Cobra, the forged One Length irons. We're going to try them. Here they are. Look, they've sent me them to try, so we're going to do it slightly different today. There they are. We're going to take them out on the golf course. We're going to go and play. Keep watching the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and also thumbs up the video. If you do, you are in got a chance of winning this set of One Length irons that I'm just about to take on the golf course and give you a bit more of an interesting, fuller review of what is quite an interesting subject at the moment. Let's get stuck in. I've just arrived, Dawlish Warren Golf Club. It's windy. Let's take these clubs out on the course. Let's see how they're going to perform. So we're on the course at Dawlish here. It's a windy day, as I said. We're going to take on this second iron. It's really tight and you have to hit a shorter club off the tee, so I'm going to start with a 4-iron. They look funny in the bag because obviously they're all the same length. They all come out pretty much the same length. It's like, yeah, it's funny. So I'm going from 4-iron down to gap wedge. And then I've got my two wedges. I actually don't need that one. I'm going to use their gap wedge. Let's show you some of the tech specs of what Cobra say these clubs are doing. So let's take a look at the length and the weight, which is what Cobra is saying. They are using the weight of the heads to control distances, gapping. I've got a gap test here as well, which I've done on myself, which we'll talk you through. So if we look at the 4-iron on the One Length irons, it's 27 grams heavier. So the head is 27 grams heavier because you're losing weight in that shaft, because obviously it's shorter in the long irons in the 4-irons. And then when you go down to the shorter irons, which are obviously the same length, but they're longer, so the 9-iron is longer, for instance, because it's a 7-iron length, it's 16 grams lighter in the head by having a heavier head in the long irons. So 4-iron, 5-iron, 6-iron, so on. What happens is they can move COGs, they can make the moment of inertia a little higher on them, they're saying, because obviously they've got more weight in that head to play with. And as they're getting the lighter irons, they're taking weight away from that club. So they're going to be balancing the gapping out predominantly by using the weight of the head, is what Cobra are actually saying. Now, when I did my gap test here, I was 98 yards with the gap wedge. The pitching wedge was 122, 9-iron 128, 8-iron 142, 7-iron 156, 6-iron 163, 5-iron 173, and then the 4-iron 178, topping out at 180. So at both ends for me, so the long iron and the short irons kind of got squished in a little bit. So if my 5-iron's 171, I'd like my 4-iron to get into the 180s. I only managed to get one into the 180s. And then the other end, the gap wedge at 100, and then the pitching wedge at 122. Then to the 9-iron at 128, almost getting a little bit squished in there as well. But pretty good. The gapping was not too bad. That was only hitting 3 balls with each iron. I mean, if I did more and more and more, I think we would start to see them to stretch out a little bit more. So Cobra obviously going with the 1 length, which might give you 1 set angle. Now, people are calling some funny things with the 1 length irons, which I'm not quite understanding why people are going this way. So I've heard a few people saying that you'll hit everything from 1 ball position. Totally not true for me. I've got different ball positions because I want the ball launching at different angles subject to the loft that's going to be delivered. So my 4-iron, I'm not playing that from the same ball position I'm going to be playing my wedge from. Very different lofts. Now, the other thing to think about, and this will blow your heads off a little bit, but have a think about this before we get back out on the course. If I've got a different attack angle with every iron, which I have a different attack angle with a wedge to a 4-iron, then the idea of this one plane actually isn't really going to be true. I'm going to be having very different swing directions, which is what people think of as playing. There's no such thing as playing, people, but we'll keep trying to preach that one out there. So obviously having different attack angles of each club is going to have a very different swing direction to get the same club path from me. So it's something to think about for the people who might understand a little bit about club paths and what have you. Gapping was fine, using the weight of the head to control centre of gravity placements and MOI of the iron to try and help you get the right distance out of the longer irons, and then making sure the short irons don't go too far. And on my gap test there, they did quite well. Right, so let's put them into use. That's what Cobra is saying they're doing. So I've got the 4-iron here. So the 4-iron head is heavier because obviously the shaft is lighter as well, different CG placement. So I got to hit it about 200 yards. This 4-iron was about 180, so it should leave me quite a lot in. Wind off the left. This isn't an easy shot. I want my rinky dinks. Feels funny with a club this short in a 4-iron, but also feels quite nice. Struck that really well. Feels good off the face. And that is the biggest thing. That's perfect. The biggest thing with this set of irons is a 4-iron feeling that short. It just feels easy, really easy. I would take this all day long with a 4-iron for me. So I've got 151. It's kind of down off the left. So that's going to be a 9 or an 8-iron for me from the gap test that you saw earlier. Now this is where I'm going to go 9 because I want to show you, and I want to hit the longer club. I mean, this 9, obviously same length, feels long. It's a 7-iron length, but because you're staring at so much loft, it doesn't feel bad. It doesn't feel bad. So this is all about holding it at the left. I'm not sure I'm going to reach with this, but I want to hit the 9. And then it'd be quite fun to watch me try and chip with these bad boys as well. Called it slightly thin, but it's going to help me, I think. Sit now. Yeah, it's pin high. It was a clean strike. It was a bare linksy lie. That's what I love about Dawlish here. It's very rustic off the ground. It feels good. I don't mind the short irons feeling longer. And I can't feel the weight difference particularly. Maybe feels a little light in the head because there's a lot of shaft there. But yeah, they feel good. So the big question, which I'm wondering about, is what happens with my wedges? Stop at gap wedge. So where do I go with my sand wedge and where do I go with my lob wedge? I don't know. So we got the gap wedge to my 56. So obviously you've got the change in the length. You've also going to have a change in the lie. So it's going to be a bit more this way. So I'm not sure what you do. You can get wedges. So I mean, I'm chipping here with the gap wedge. Does feel a little bit long. To be honest with you, I do feel like I could chip with it. And that says a lot if I feel like I can chip with it. I'm not sure how much I would feel I could really funk a shot with if you got sand wedges and what have you in this spec. So I do think I would have to have a regular sand wedge and lob wedge, but then doesn't that kind of, I mean, obviously you've got your drivers and stuff which are different. I think that one, the one with the gap wedge, was much better. You've obviously got your drivers and what have you, which are different. So you would have that at the other end of the bag, but I'm not sure about that. It would kind of throw me a bit. I don't know what to think of that. We've got a 6-iron. It's 178 wind down and off the left. Probably could hit a 7 as well. Everything obviously being 7-iron length. The 6-iron doesn't feel that particular different. So obviously with the 1-length clubs, you've got the idea of standing the same way with every club, making the same ideas of swing angles and what have you, which definitely resonates in people's minds as a simplistic idea. The more, this is the second set of 1-length clubs I've done a review of, and the more I use them, the more it makes sense in my head. And we were lucky enough to catch up with Bryson DeChambeau this year, and he actually spoke to us a bit about them. You know, and he had interesting thoughts, and is a thoughtful, kind of knowledgeable guy. I kind of get where these are going. I just am not sure if people will spend their money on them unless they can get out there and try them. So let's hope Cobra do get plenty of sets out there for you to go and have a go with, and it is going to need to be the set, rather than obviously if you put a 7-iron in people's pro shops, that's irrelevant, isn't it? I want to see what the 5-iron and the gap wedge almost feel like. So let's hit the 6-iron in there. Top line of these clubs is pretty neat. This is the forged set, so forged 1-length. There is also another set which is a little bit more kind of friendly, they're saying, coming as well. So this is your not much offset, chromed head, quite a thin medium top line, finished sole. It's very neat in everything it looks like down by the ball, and I like the look. Relatively traditional, apart from obviously the one length. Let's see if we can chuck a 6-iron in there. Struck it well. The wind's going to need to leave that. Stay left. Yeah, it's a bowl green, so I think that's up there. I'll be putting. Let's get up there and look. I do like them. They feel good. They feel really good, to be honest. Feel as good as anything I've hit. You pull the club out of the bag, it feels the same, one length, I know I keep saying, and it does just feel simple. Feels simple. So we're about 190 out, into off the right. So it's all of a 4-iron for me, but I've got to keep it down. So let's see how easy it is with the shorter, in fact, 4-iron. I think it's going to be easier to play like a knockdown shot. So I'm going to have to start this down the right. And to be honest with you, I'm not saying I'm going to hit the green here, but this feels simple when it's this short. It feels like I'm hitting a punt 7-iron. It's crazy. Oh, that's good. Get up there. Come on, wind. That is up and pin high, and arguably a career 4-iron for someone who doesn't hit a 4-iron. Yeah, I can't keep saying it. The short 4-iron, it feels cheating. It makes you feel like I could put a 4-iron in my bag. It doesn't feel like the strongest 4-iron in the world, as the gap in shows. And rinky dink in my heart is always going to be there, but liking that. Right, so we're on the same hole, and I'm now 136 out. So same wind, into off the right. I've got a 9-iron. I'm going to hit a little kind of low chippy one, which now obviously feels, well, the 4-iron felt easy. I'm not sure how this feels because it feels long in my hands. Possibly could be a wedge, but I'm going to hit a little 9-iron and see if I can just feel it in there. Let's give it a go. See what I mean, it just, I'm coming down the grip. I'm coming down the grip for this. Obviously it's a shorter distance, but it just feels too long up here to play this kind of knockdown shot. Let's give it a go. Aiming down the right, wind's, I'm going to draw it, wind's going to bring it. I struck that nice. Front edge, it really kind of stalled up there in the wind. It was all of the 9, it's a very strong wind up there. So you get it easier on one side and I'm not sure on the other. Not sure. I'm going to play another. I'm going to play another and I'm going to hold it at the top because I needed all the club there. So basically the white ball on the green is the 4-iron and the true viz here are obviously the 9-iron. So I'm going at the top, going to hit it full. Back of my stance, trying to knock it down. Yeah, it's a better fly. I reckon that's up. That's good. Get up. Yeah, that's close. You just got to trust it a bit more on distance. I wasn't trusting the distance, which is why I was maybe playing with the length. I went up to the top of that because it was a full punch. Felt good. So 9-iron full length. So holding it full length. 9-iron coming down, and then 4-iron as well, which I would take all day long. It's an interesting one. These could absolutely make it in the bag. I've been testing them out here on the course. I like that idea of one feeling, and it does really give that. Let's do a little bit of chipping. Let's see what they do when you got some chip shots. So I'm just going to finish on a few chip and runs. Got 3 balls over there. Got a 9-iron. Obviously this is longer. This is 7-iron length. I wonder what it's going to feel like. So obviously this 9-iron is 7-iron length. It just pushes me in the air a little bit more, a little bit taller. I don't see this as a particular problem at all. I mean, all don't go in, that would be embarrassing. A decent chip for me is a rarity. Let's try it again. Obviously it does just feel a little long, but it doesn't. You could come down the grip if you wanted it true 9-irons, but to be honest with you, I don't mind holding it kind of 7-iron height. Need to get up a little. It feels fine. It feels absolutely fine. They're kind of passing on almost all tests, aren't they? Yeah, I actually prefer that to a 9-iron. I think for chipping, certainly someone who has to think about their chipping quite a lot, having one length, regardless of what loft I pull out, I think could be a bonus in the short game as well. I'm struggling to see why I wouldn't bag these clubs, I really am. Let's see if the wedge putting is also not bad as well. There we go, 1 length forged irons, Cobra King irons. Impressed with those. Everything I threw at them, it kind of passed, didn't it? That punch with the 9-iron was the only thing that threw me, but when I committed, it worked well. Look, do you want to win these irons? I do. I want them in my bag. I'm close to using them, but if you want to win this set that I've demoed today, all you've got to do is subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button down below, post a comment telling me what you think. You love them, you hate them. Doesn't matter if your comment is positive or negative, just constructive. You've got a chance of winning these. Post a comment, that enters you, and if you're subscribed to my channel, that enters you. Someone will be winning this set of 1 length forged Cobra irons. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Periscope, all the normal social places. Also, come and visit my new website, markcrossfieldgolf.com. See you over there.